It is a beautiful night for baseball in downtown Cincinnati, and we welcome you to Great American Ballpark. The final meeting in this 2013 season between division rivals, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds. St. Louis outlasting the Redlegs last night in 16, so they have a 2.5-game lead over the Reds for the second wild card spot in the National League Central. Pittsburgh idle tonight. The winner has a chance to pick up a half game. And hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh. I'm Tom Brenneman. It seems like we just left here after 6 innings over 4 hours of baseball last night. But, Chris, time to forget about that and move forward. The final time this year these two teams will meet.
Well, you're right about that, and it's kind of strange that you would put it on the shoulders of Tony Cingrani, a rookie that has had 16 starts so far this year. But when you look back on the season totals between these two teams, you wonder really what happened to all the chances maybe the Reds had earlier in the year. The St. Louis Cardinals lead the series 11 up against 7 down against the Reds. Reds have been pretty good at home. They have not been very good at all in St. Louis, and you can see the difference why. The Cardinals have scored more runs. The Reds' earned run average has been very bad. But they've played them a lot better lately, and they've gotten better pitching lately, and that's why you're hoping that Tony Cingrani can kind of pick up right where he left off. 16 games he started this year. He's been an impact pitcher really ever since he first came in for Johnny Cueto. That high fastball has been able to really weave his way right through National League hitters. You're essentially throwing it about 80% of the time. You hope that his back is okay. He had to leave the game the last time he pitched against the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he says he's okay, but until you get out there and pitch a live action, you really never know.
Reds are going to get a look at Lance Lynn. He has been a very dependable starter for this Cardinal team over the last couple of years. He started out again this year like he did last year, Chris. Lights out, 13-game winner. But lately, not so good.
Oh, you're right. He won 18 games last year, Lance Lynn did. He was one of the most run-supported pitchers out there in all of baseball. But he's hit a bump in the road. He's lost his last 4 decisions. He's not thrown the ball very well overall over those last 4 or 5 games. But he has a pretty good record against the Reds. The Cardinals are looking for him, young 25-year-old right-hander, to carry him. The Reds are looking for Tony Cingrani, a young left-hander, to carry them.
And the Reds welcome back into the lineup tonight. He's come off the bench the last 2 games with pinch hit singles. But back in that lineup, and that's a former Cardinal, Ryan Ludwig. It's nice to have him back. We'll talk more about that in a moment.
produced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Perfect right now. What about the weather later on? It's brought to you by Tri-State Orthopedics, and here's Josh Knight from the WKRC Weather Department.
Heading out to the ball game tonight, we've got another beautiful forecast for you. Weather not going to be an issue for the players. Temperature-wise, just a little bit warmer, mostly sunny and 79 around first pitch. Halfway through, we're right around 73. Clear skies take over, and then heading for home right around 69 degrees. Gets cool, but that's about it.
Josh, thank you. Nothing cool about Ryan Ludwig's bat right now, Chris. He swung the bat quite well.
I think you can say the same thing about his attitude right now, Tom. This is a guy that just burns to beat the Cardinals. He was once a Cardinal. He very much wants to make sure the Reds are able to take this final game of the 4-game series. He had a couple of hits his last 2 nights. Both times he was pitched run for by Billy Hamilton, and the place went nuts. Tonight, that probably won't happen, but we hope that he's able to get on base and maybe run on his own.
Well, we're set to go. Mike Matheny will hand the ball to Lance Lynn. Dusty Baker and the Reds leaning hard on the lefty Tony Cingrani. To you by the Ford F-Series trucks, the best-selling truck in America, 36 straight years. By the Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. Feeling good on a beautiful Thursday night in Cincinnati, Ohio. Reds have taken the field. Cardinal lineup under a native Buckeye. Grew up outside Columbus, Mike Matheny. Matt Carpenter at second base back there tonight. Shane Robinson at center. Matt Holliday in left. A lot of changes tonight for the Cardinals, resting some of their regulars. Beltran in right. Freeze at third. Matt Adams at first base after the injury to Alan Craig. Tony Cruz for Yadier Molina. Ryan Jackson for Daniel Descalso. And Lance Lynn on the mound.
Well, the Cardinals don't get a day off, and they're maybe going to rest some of their players because they go home to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates after tonight's ball game. But first, they've got to contend with the dealings of Tony Cingrani. 16 starts. He's, of course, taken over that slot vacated by Johnny Cueto a couple of times. 6-3 record. Really outstanding numbers for a young man as inexperienced in the major leagues as Cingrani. His secondary pitches really have not been, or the lack thereof, have not been a factor at all. He just simply fires that fastball up there in the upper part of the zone, and hitters have yet to figure out how to get on top of it.
All right, here we go. Matt Carpenter digging in and pitching in a game for the first time since August the 20th is Tony Cingrani. It's up and in, ball one. Laz Diaz behind the plate. Mark Wegner works at first base. Corey Blazer at second, and Tim Timmons, the umpire, at third. Carpenter has had an outstanding series. On base 4 times in the game here last night. His batting average stands now at .315 on the year. He had 2 hits in the second game and an RBI double in game 1. And Cingrani has missed and missed badly on the first 3 pitches of the night.
Well, he's missed up and in, and that means you've got to slow your body down or speed your arm up. These are the kind of situations that for a young pitcher can sometimes be troublesome, because you've got to be your own pitching coach early on. You're not going to see Brian Price running out there after the first 3-0 count. You've got to figure out what to fix and do it right now.
3-0 becomes 3-2. That's a nice comeback at bat right there for young Mr. Cingrani. Really nice comeback. The Reds defensively presented by your Ford dealers. Ludwig back in the lineup, as we mentioned, in left field. Everybody else pretty much the same. Shane Robinson, his first start in the series, gets a nod over John Jay. Robinson in from the right side. Of course, Jay, a left-handed batter. Two and 0. Robinson in limited playing time, .279 batter, couple of home runs, 12 runs batted in. And 2-0 becomes 2-2.
He's probably heard from every one of his teammates and coaches that the key to trying to hit Tony Cingrani, it hasn't been really very successful by anybody, is just make him get the ball down.
Cozart charging on the run, gets a speedy Robinson by a half step. And the first 2 retired. Well, getting base hits against Tony Cingrani has been extremely difficult indeed. The league is batting .190 against him.
We take a look at a changeup right there by Cingrani. You can see that kind of a modified circle change grip, but he essentially holds it with his 3 fingers just to take a little bit of speed off the baseball. And got a rare ground ball. I mean, when Tony Cingrani serves up a ground ball, it's almost, you want to put a little mark next to that on your scorecard.
Zoom ball there from Cingrani.
Every time I see one of those, I hear, we used to have a teammate a long time ago, he would always yell out, "You got one higher than that." I'm telling you, the ball's moving all over the place, and sometimes too much. I mean, and that's oftentimes a left-hander that has that problem. The ball, you know, and you got to figure his arm's going to be live, having not pitched since August the 20th.
That one just dumped into short right field, a base hit by Holliday. So he's a 2-out base runner here in the Cardinal opening inning, which will continue for Carlos Beltran.
You notice this entire series, the Reds have been pitching Holiday down and away, breaking balls, fastballs down and away. That ball got up, got in a little bit, and he was able to put the bat on it. I mean, he didn't hit it hard, but he has not really done much damage at all when you keep it in the spot you want it.
Beltran to switch batter. Wow, that had to hurt. Ground ball down to Frazier. And that's all for the Cardinals. A base hit by Holiday. He's stranded. The Reds come to bat against Lance Lynn when we come back. Up reads as follows tonight. His team coming in looking for a victory, trying to make it 3 out of 4 over the Cardinals. Chu, Phillips, and Votto at the top. Bruce, Ludwig, and Frazier in the middle. Cozart, Hannigan, Cingrani the latter third. Lance Lynn, Chris, a hard guy to figure. There are games you see this guy and he looks virtually unhittable, as good as any pitcher in the league. And the Reds have seen a lot of those games against Lance Lynn. 3-0 against him. ERA 3.5. But he comes limping into this series, riding a 4-game losing streak.
Yeah, you're right about what he's done recently. Here's what he's done against the Reds in his career. But he's a guy that fits the profile of a top of the rotation type starter. Big guy, 6 feet 5 inches tall, 250 pounds, very hard thrower, former #1 draft pick. The Reds are going to see a lot of four-seam fastballs out of Lance Lynn. Last year he had 18 wins. That was good for 4th in the National League.
Shin-Soo Choo down a strike, a .285 batter with 19 home runs and 47 runs batted in. Reds 16 games over the 500 mark. Tonight they play their 141st game of the year. Carpenter to his right. 1 out. So many changes from what we've seen over the last week and a half. These two teams playing for the 7th time over the last 11 days. Robinson in center. Freese back in the lineup. Jackson in the lineup for the first time. And Cruz behind the plate. Now Brandon Phillips. Ball 1 away. Picked up his 100th RBI, becoming the first Red second baseman to do that in a season since the Hall of Famer, the great Joe Morgan. And it came on that solo home run, which at the time gave the Reds a 1-run lead.
Yadier Molina getting the night off. He's been battling all sorts of little nicks and bruises and injuries. And Tony Cruz, welcome to Great American Ballpark, right in the old kisser.
Pulled badly on a breaking ball there is Brandon, and the first two retired by Lance Lynn here in the first inning.
Take a look at Lance Lynn's power delivery right here. That's a breaking ball. You see how he really gets that middle finger wrapped around the seam and just pulls that baby straight down. That's the breaking ball that struck out Brandon Phillips, bouncing right on top of the plate. Keeps his head still. Good delivery by Lance Lynn. I mean, that's a solid, repeatable delivery. Uses his legs well.
Joey Votto 0 for 7 in the game here last night. He has not reached base in his last 10 plate appearances, and that is his longest streak since September of 2011. 301 batter, 21 home runs, 64 runs batted in. A ball and a strike to Joey Votto. Foul ball, and the count remains at 1-2 strikes. Votto batting with 2 down and nobody on. Glad to have you with us on this Thursday night. And the 1-2 coming from Lance Lynn is a fastball low and away, even the count on Votto at 2-2. Reds welcome the Dodgers to town beginning tomorrow night. Night game tomorrow, day game Saturday, Sunday night game before they will embark on their final road trip of the year. The Cardinals get in to St. Louis later tonight. And already there in St. Louis waiting on them, the Pirates. 3-2 on Votto. We can only imagine. Mike Matheny was quoted after the game last night as saying it might be the biggest win of the year. Because if they lose that game last night, they are coming into this one having lost 3 in a row in this series, 4 in a row to the Reds overall, and knowing with another Reds win, the Cardinals would be in 3rd in the Central. There's ball 4 to Votto. But by winning the game last night, they are guaranteed that they're going to leave town at the very minimum with a 1.5 lead over the Reds, and obviously it goes 2 games the other way if they happen to get out of here with a win.
Well, I think maybe part of that assessment by Mike Matheny might be that it was the most important win of the year for the Cardinals, but maybe one of the most disappointing wins of the year for the Reds, and those might go hand in hand. If you're going to beat a team the way the Cardinals did last night, you might want to make it one of your division rivals, one who's breathing right down your neck. Really hoping that maybe there'll be a carryover effect, that the Reds, who may stumbled over some opportunities they had last night, will now continue to stumble because they let that one get away.
The middle of the lineup especially had a tough time last night. I mean, there are a lot of guys that had a tough time last night. You may remember from the Frazier single in the 6th inning. The Reds did not have another base hit until Shin-Soo Choo's 2-out broken bat flare into center came in the 12th inning. Well, the trio of Votto, Bruce, and Heisey collectively did not have a single hit in the game last night. And only reached base twice. 2 walks to Jay Bruce. Good hitters count though for Jay right here and right now. 3-1 with Votto at first and 2 away. Back-to-back walks will give Ryan Ludwig a chance. Ludwig, of course, did not start either of the last 2 games. Came off the bench each night with a pinch hit single, and each night Billy Hamilton ran for him. Each night Billy Hamilton stole a base, and each night Billy Hamilton scored a run.
You know, you never really know when you're going to get that quote-unquote swing at bat, the important at bat in a ball game. Last night, you can argue that it was the 3rd batter of the game. After the first 2 reached base for the Reds, Joey Votto struck out. Reds came up empty in that ball game, or in that particular inning. This might be the same type of at bat right here. If Lance Lynn can get out of it, he'll feel good about it. But if Ryan Ludwig can do something, put the Reds on the board, get the momentum going, this might prove to be the biggest at bat of the night here in the 1st inning. One thing the Reds have done, at least starting with Votto, is they've made Lance Lynn throw strikes. Looks like he's a little bit uncomfortable throwing the ball right over the plate. He's nibbling around the corners. This is one thing that gets him into problems. 65 walks on the year.
Big pitch right here. 2 balls and no strikes. Ludwig looking for something to hammer, and it's way off the plate inside.
Lynn's got a lot of movement on that little 2-seam fastball, but he's being much too careful with it.
To Ludwig, so like a 2-0 count, now in a 3-1 count. Hoping he gets something from Lynn that he can jump on. If not, it will give Frazier a chance.
I guess you could hardly blame Lynn for not wanting to just throw the ball down the middle with a couple of runners on. After all, the last 2 games he's seen, runs have come so hard to get. He doesn't want to get behind.
How about this? Retires the first 2 batters easily, Shue and Phillips, and now has walked Votto, Bruce, and Ludwig to load him up for Todd Frazier.
Now, this may sound crazy, but Todd Frazier has to be ready to swing the bat on the very first pitch. I mean, it's got to be right down the middle. It's got to be in his zone, so on and so forth. But he's got to be ready to pull the trigger, because the first pitch he gets right here might be the one that he can drive.
Got a fastball at 94. Took a hack, fouled it back to the screen. 0-1.
Pitch nowhere near the strike zone and just not picked up at all by Frazier. He swings at this like it's going to be right over the plate, and when you lose your hat, you're moving your head.
What a block by Cruz. That was not an easy pitch to block. Far into the left-handed batter's box, it looked like, from up here. Boy, he just buried that thing with his chest protector.
That was probably where he wanted that pitch. I mean, given the fact the way that Frazier has a tendency to chase, he's probably thinking, I know that I want this ball down in the dirt. I don't want to give Frazier anything that he can hit. Probably come right back with it again.
Got him on a fastball up around his eyes, and the Reds leave him loaded in the first inning for the second straight day. Up tight end Jermaine Gresham this season. Read Al McCoy's latest piece on the Reds and see who's back in uniform for the Ohio State Buckeyes in week 2 of the college football season. All the coverage comes your way on FoxSportsOhio.com. Tony Cingrani allowed a 2-out single to Matt Holliday, a little flare into right field in the first inning, and then shattered the bat of Carlos Beltran, who bounced out to Frazier, ending the first. So here in the second, he'll get a look at David Freese, Matt Adams, and Tony Cruz. Oh, 2 on Freese, who is back in the lineup. You may remember he started the first game of the series, did not have a good night. And Matt Carpenter moved over from second base to play third the last 2 games. But Freese back in there tonight, a ball and 2 strikes. Cingrani with his first strikeout of the night.
It just looks so good you can't lay off of it, and you almost know that it's coming because he throws it about 80% of the time. Look at the grouping of where those fastballs are. Up and in, just challenging David Freese. He chases one out of the zone. That's about as simple as pitching gets right there.
So now the native Chicagoan will set his sights on last night's hero. We saw history here last night, unfortunately for all of us, on the losing end of the game. But Matt Adams became the first player in the history of Major League Baseball to hit home runs from the 14th inning of a game on. Home run in the 14th inning gave them the lead. Reds came back to tie it. And then a home run, of course, in the 16th inning, which proved to be the difference in the game. All of that on the heels, were it not for the injury to Alan Craig, Adams wouldn't have been in a game. Now, he might have come up, he would have definitely come up at some point in time as a pinch hitter. We know that.
Well, they've been pitching him away and fairly successfully, but they got it over a little middle of the breaking ball over the middle of the plate. Logan Andrusic goes a low fastball, and like a lot of left-handed hitters, he likes that ball down, and that's his wheelhouse.
Fastball at 93, a strike 3 called, and that's all for Adams.
You know, it's not the velocity for Tony Cingrani. It's the deception of having his arm kind of be so late. He gets his leg down, he's coming to the plate, and then all of a sudden the ball comes out of nowhere. And you see some of the oddest swings, some of the oddest takes against Cingrani because hitters simply don't pick the ball up until it's too late.
One to Cruz, 212 batter with a home run and 11 runs batted in. He's seen a lot more playing time this season than he has in most of his time spent in the major leagues, and that's because, of course, Yadier Molina had a stint on the disabled list. Molina coming back just a couple of weeks ago. And Cingrani fans the side. Cozart, Hannigan, and the pitcher coming up. Scoreless game. 9 during our game tonight. Gary Price from North Bend, Ohio, will win the Tundra here at the ballpark. And register for your chance to win. Just stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. No score. Reds bat in the second inning. Here's today's IGS bringing the energy. How about the numbers of late during this 9-game hit streak for the Reds shortstop?
Just about 390 for Cozart. Bottom of the order, remember. He's been batting up the number 2 spot a lot of the season. Moved him down, got his eye. He's gotten some benefit of some hits dropping in there. But overall, really hitting the ball just so much better. And I'm wondering, Tom, I mean, some people have brought this to my attention that his hitting streak started about the time that we ran his special sequence on the CBTS Tech Talk.
Really?
So the Tech Talk
you might
magic.
have guys lined up outside this booth by the time you're ready to get out of here after the ball game tonight. I mean, there might be some Cardinal guys that are going to be lined up outside this booth.
Retired Cardinals only. Maybe we'll get the mad Hungarian Al Rabowski over. He could use a little streak.
A mad Hungarian. Boy, was he fun to watch, wasn't he?
Yeah, he really was.
I mean, there was one of the real characters of the game, and I don't think he was necessarily doing it to be a character of the game, but he just had so much fire about him and wasn't afraid to show it. Every pitch, there he is on the left.
He still has the Hungarian mustache.
Yes, he does. But now it's white. And I can say that because mine's turning the same color. It's not a shot. Dan McLaughlin, he's a sidekick over there.
Of course,
there they are. Look at the mad Hungarian.
The mad Hungarian used to go behind the mound between pitches, get himself all psyched up, pound the glove, turn around, get on the mound, he would be ready to go. And he was a darn good closer.
Sure was. For those of you not old enough to remember, this was between pitches. Pound that ball right into the mitt, climb up the back of the hill, and stare right down the barrel and ready to go to work. That was pre-mustache and goatee days.
Just beginning to grow the mustache. Ray Knight coming up empty on that one.
High fly ball lifted into right center field where Beltran calls off Robinson, and Cozart retired to open up the second inning. Just joined us. The Reds got 3 walks with 2 outs and left them loaded in the first.
Now, between innings, they were singing happy birthday to the Cowboy, who has his 50th birthday today. I want to say, Cowboy, happy birthday to you, but you take second fiddle to my family anyway. I want to say happy birthday to my daughter, Grace.
Oh, very nice.
Who we welcome her to being a teenager today.
Man, happy birthday, Gracie.
And this is about the time when Dad has forgotten everything he's ever learned when they become teenagers. So happy birthday, Grace. I love you.
And happy birthday to the Cowboy. Number 50. You know, I get to thinking about the grade 8 coming into town this weekend. Chris, there's a 2-hopper. Played well that time by Freeze. He had one of those get by him the other night. But you know, the grade 8, they're rolling into town tomorrow night to celebrate the big weekend for Joe Morgan. All those guys, either in their late 60s now, early 70s in some cases. That's hard to believe, isn't it?
It really is. Well, we're fortunate all of them are still with us.
We are.
Boy, they have fun when they get together, too.
You know, it's not only the grade 8, as you know. I mean, you've been around these guys a lot more than I have. But, you know, when you get a lot of the pitchers from those teams together, those are some guys that had a lot of fun about. Gary Nolan. I mean, who's more fun to be around than Jack Billingham, right? And Gary Nolan. Bunted first base side. Cingrani will win the foot race to the bag. Now that's how you may remember he injured his back against Arizona trying to leg out a bunt hit when he hit that bag very hard. And here he is his first time tonight, as if to say, I'm just fine.
Hey, the guy's an athlete. I mean, this is the perfect push bunt right here. And all he's got to do when he gets it down is beat the pitcher to first base. Yeah, he got the call exactly right, did the first base umpire Mark Wegner. In fact, Lance Lynn actually misses the bag with his left foot as they kind of get tangled up right there.
That guy can run. He can really run.
He's just a good athlete.
Yep.
Really is. You should see him take batting practice.
Now Shin-Soo Choo, he bounced out to Carpenter, leading off the Reds' first inning and behind strike one here. Two out, one on. Choo behind in the count and no balls, 2 strikes. Cingrani's running and has just stolen a base. How about that? Now there's a guy who's trying to take it to the opposition right there.
Well, they weren't paying any attention to him at all. And he can run. You know, just goes to show you. Spend a couple of nights on the bench with Billy Hamilton. Next thing you know, you think you're Maury Wills.
Or you think you're Billy Hamilton.
Or Billy Hamilton.
Boy, you gotta love it though by Cingrani. I mean, he's come out here to play here tonight. And it is play, not just pitch. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Choo.
You know, and if you really boil it down by the numbers, Lance Lynn is one of the toughest pitchers around to steal on. Coming into this ballgame, he'd only given up 3 stolen bases all year long. That's in 28 starts.
Two and 2 on Choo. And now 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Hey, what changes the entire at bat for Choo now? Notice how aggressive Lance Lynn was early in the at bat. When Cingrani was on first, figuring, well, it's going to take at least a double to score Cingrani. I don't have to worry about giving up a run. Now he's got to worry about giving up a blue pit somewhere.
And nowhere near the strike zone, and Cingrani going to advance on to third. That'll be ball 4, a wild pitch. And now the Reds with another scoring chance, looking for that 2-out hit.
Well, Lance Lynn's got to be asking himself, how did I get here anyway? You've got 7, 8, and 9. You give up a base hit, bunt to the pitcher because you were a little bit late getting off the mound. He steals second on you. And now you got first and third with a guy that has driven in 100 runs.
I was wondering for a minute there, Chris. Now you tell me something might be going on out there on the mound. The middle infielders, the catcher and the pitcher, are all standing there on the mound, and all of them were looking into the dugout, sort of motioning their arms around and around, like you'll see sometimes in basketball. Like, let's speed up the clock here. Let's go. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
No, I haven't either.
That was very bizarre. I thought they were calling for a trainer. Ball 1 to Brandon Phillips. The Reds got 3 straight walks with 2 outs in the first inning. Todd Frazier struck out to end the inning. First 2 retired here in the second. Bunt hit by Cingrani. Steals a base. A walk to Chu. Tapper in the hole. And the throw goes into second, and they can't handle it. And the Reds have a 1-0 lead. Put the bat on the ball. We were talking about that with Joe Morgan before the game tonight. You never know what might happen.
Oh, you're exactly right. I mean, you talk about a scratch run. Reds have not hit a ball out of the infield, but there's the first run of the ball game. Ryan Jackson unable to make a good throw to the second baseman covering right there. Matt Carpenter can't pick it out of the ground. And the Reds take advantage. And Derek Lilliquist is the pitching coach. He's going to go out and try to settle down Lance Lynn. One of the things that has really earmarked the last few starts for Lance Lynn, where he's been tagged with losses, is big innings. And maybe before it really becomes a big inning, Derek Lilliquist wants to go out there and try to settle down his right-hander.
So give Brandon Phillips his 101st run batted in on that infield hit. And now Joey Votto walked his first time up, checked his swing, and they appealed. It's ball 1. Big swing and a miss. A hearty cut by Votto. A violent cut by Votto. We've not seen a lot of those of late.
Yeah, and a big cut by Votto. Sometimes the bigger you swing, the slower you swing, because you're getting your body moving too much instead of your hands. He really gets his body into this one. We usually see him only take one of those per at bat.
Two and one to Joey. Ball 3. I mean, Lance Lynn, just the body language alone, you can tell he's really fighting it. As far as his confidence goes right now, he is almost doing everything he can to hand you a 3-run inning. Question is, can you get the one big hit to produce that 3-run inning?
I mean, here's a guy out there, and he's getting ready to throw pitch number 51. And we're in the second inning. He had the bases loaded. He had a strikeout Todd Frazier to get out of it. He almost left with excitement when he got out of that inning. And here he is right back in another troubled spot.
3-2, runners go. Now back out of play. Now, of course, if the guy is giving your team the chance a couple of times early in the game and you don't break through, we have seen many cases where, for whatever reason, a little burst of confidence, the guy gets it rolling.
Yeah, that's true. He could get it rolling, but how much longer can he keep it rolling when he's already at 50 pitches?
Three and two once more on Joey Votto. You can almost feel the tension in this ballpark almost emanating from the Reds dugout. I don't think it's overplaying the hand at all to say the Reds need Votto to get going. They need this guy to hit if they're going to go where they want to go. One nothing ball game. We go to the third. Well, 1-800-ELK Ohio. Head-to-head down the stretch into Central. We know the Reds and Pirates have 6 against one another. The Cardinals will play their final 3 times against the Pirates. Tomorrow night, that series begins at Busch Stadium. So the Pirates have 9 games left against the Reds and St. Louis. I don't think anybody's going out on a limb, any of these 3 teams, feeling as though they have a legitimate chance to win the division. Obviously, the Pirates believe it. They're in first. The Cardinals believe it because they're a game back and they're getting ready to go toe-to-toe with the Bucs starting tomorrow night. The Reds believe it despite being 3.5 back with this one here tonight and 6 against the Pirates to do something about it nose to nose. It might come down to the final day of the season.
Well, the 6 games that we showed you that the Reds have left with the Pirates are 6 of the last 9 games of the season. Reds will finish up a 3-city road trip. Goes through Milwaukee, Houston, and then Pittsburgh. Then they'll come home, and they'll host the New York Mets for 3, and then they'll finish up with 3 at home against Pittsburgh. So you got to figure those last 6 games against Pittsburgh will be a lot of going back and forth in those.
Cingrani coming off an inning where in the top of the second he struck out the side. In the bottom of the second he single-handedly ignited the scoring inning. Had a bunt hit with 2 outs. Became the first Reds pitcher since Bronson Arroyo in 2008 to steal a base. Went to third on a wild pitch. Scored on an infield hit. Lotto will take it himself, 1 out. Well, local college football is coming your way on Fox Sports Ohio Saturday. Don Treadwell and the Miami Redhawks go down to Lexington to take on the Wildcats. Kentucky stunned over the weekend by in-state rival Western Kentucky. Don't miss a kickoff Saturday at noon on Fox Sports Ohio. Lance Lynn will bat with 1 out, none on. 4 hits and 45 at bats for the big right-handed batter. Another big series getting started tonight. The Red Sox and the Yankees teeing them up in the Bronx. Yankees have all of a sudden come back from nearly the dead to get right back in the thick of things. Not so much in the American League East. They're 8 behind Boston, but they are right there in the wild card race, just 5 games back. And that's 5 games back overall. Of the leader, but they're only 2.5. There's a swing and a miss behind the second wild card spot. That would be Tampa Bay. 4 strikeouts now for Tony Cingrani. As always, coming up later tonight, we'll have our Miller Time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. Oh, and 1 to Matt Carpenter. He flied out to the left fielder, leading off the game. That was after he got ahead in the count 3-0. Cingrani came back to 3-2 and got him out. Beautiful pitch on the outside corner, knee high to get ahead 1-2.
Of course, Cingrani's delivery really looks under control now. Nice and slow, getting his foot down. That arm whips around. And you notice his follow through. I mean, he follows through and then has a little bit of a jump step where he kind of gets himself upright, almost a recoil. Not falling off towards third base, keeping his head behind the baseball. Good night.
Good night is right. 5 strikeouts of the last 6 he's faced for Tony Cingrani. Ballpark. Stick around after the game. See the Great 8 take the field for the first time in Great American Ballpark history for a special post-game ceremony honoring Joe. Fireworks show will follow. It's going to be a great night. If you're able, we invite you to come on down. We'd love to have you. 381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or log on to Reds.com/tickets. Baby Concepcion. Final out of the 75 World Series, handled by Cesar Geronimo. George Foster, Tony Perez, there's Pete, Johnny Bench, Holman, Carl Yastrzemski. The final out of that World Series. How about all the Hall of Famers that played in that World Series?
Amazing. Really amazing. Be a good trivia question, actually.
Of course, you bring up that World Series to the folks in Boston, they'll give you, Freddie Lynn didn't play. You know what I mean? You get that all the time. I've heard that 1,000 times.
And also the rain that allowed Don Gullett to come back and pitch.
Yeah.
What did he get, 3 days of rainouts or something like that?
You know, when I say about all the Hall of Famers that played in that World Series, I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head right now, and maybe you could help me here, Chris, as Bruce has gone on strikes to begin the inning. The only 2 Red Sox that are in the Hall of Fame, if I'm not mistaken, that played in that World Series were obviously Carl Yastrzemski and then more recently Jim Rice. Carlton Frisk as well. I beg your pardon. Thank you. All right, so 3 of them. That's pretty doggone good on one team. Of course, on the Reds, you have Tony Perez, you have George Foster, you have Johnny Bench. Pete Rose would be in the Hall of Fame. He's not. I mean, Tony Perez, Joe Morgan, Johnny Bench. Pete Rose would be in the Hall of Fame. And maybe one day will be in the Hall of Fame.
And maybe one day Davey Concepcion.
He should be.
Yeah.
I think you talk to most people who have really taken a look at the numbers and stacked them up against the other shortstops that are in there, and there is very little debate that he is deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. Oh, and one on Ryan Ludwig. Four strikeouts in the game for Lynn. Boy, and 2 of those have been huge strikeouts to end Cincinnati threats. Broken bat by Ludwig. He got Frazier with the bases loaded in the first inning, and Votto with 2 on to end the second.
Yeah, and those 2 strikeouts were peculiar because they were both high fastballs. Lynn likes to live down in the zone for the most part. But he went upstairs out of the zone against Todd Frazier to get a strikeout. And he went upstairs, way upstairs against Joey Votto, who chased a bad pitch for a strikeout, too. Ludwig goes down, and after having a good rip on an inside fastball, he gets fooled on that one. That little comeback fastball right there looked like. Every once in a while, Lance Lynn will drop his arm angle just a hair and give himself something different, a different look to the hitter.
Frazier launches one into the ninth to make it a 2-0 Reds lead.
Look, not even a fastball right there. Looks like a sidearm slider that just hangs down and in, and Frazier's all over it.
I would imagine Derek Lilliquist and Mike Matheny must be sitting down there in that dugout wondering what in the world is going on after the first 2 batters are out in an inning. In each of the first 3 innings tonight, Lynn has retired the first 2 that came to the plate. In the first inning, he then proceeded to walk the bases loaded. He allowed a bunt hit to Cingrani, who wound up scoring in the second. And now back-to-back strikeouts against Bruce and Ludwig. A bomb to Frazier.
Oh, boy. Here it goes. Come on, Vic.
2-2 on Cozart. I mean, the percentage of a team scoring with 2 outs and nobody on in an inning is minuscule. And of course, those numbers are crunched in every situation imaginable in Major League Baseball. There's a high hopper that gets by the shortstop who tried to play it on a second bounce. And as soon as that happened, you knew Ryan Jackson was not going to throw out Cozart.
Well, he's setting himself up for a backhand where he's going to have a short hop, grab it, and fire it. You get yourself in a position where you can throw the baseball. And that's just one way of playing. Another play would be just to try to rush it as hard as you possibly can and kind of make the play, throw it on the run as if a third baseman were making a slow roller play.
Now Ryan Hannigan, he bounced out to David Freese, his only at bat. "65 pitches through 2 2/3 innings for Lance Lynn. And yet he's only down 2-0. Now granted, he may not be long for this game with where his pitch count is right now, but
well, this is the kind of outing that can simply wear you out. You throw this many pitches in 2 innings. You don't have much break in between your pitches like you. I mean, you throw 65 pitches over 6 innings. This is no big deal at all. But he's got to be just worn out right now. Every time he looks up, he's got a runner on base.
look out. That one get Chris Byer down there.
They're pointing him out. Everybody else in that dugout is behind that protective screen. Spire right there at the top step.
Kozar to lead at first, and they throw over once more. Well, they're paying a lot of attention to a guy who has not attempted a stolen base this entire season. Not one. Chapper to short. And that's all for the Reds. But they add on to a 1-0 lead thanks to a solo home run by Todd Frazier. End of 3, the Reds with a 2-0 lead. See your Toyota dealer. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by JTM Food Group, creating great dishes together. Reds lead 2-0, and we have a chance to ask you our AT&T trivia question for tonight. Going back to 1950, since then, who holds the Reds record for most successful stolen base attempts to start a career? It's a good question. So I'm sure most of you understand the question, but for those of you like me that sometimes wrestle with this kind of thing, that means you start a career, how many stolen bases did you have before you were ever thrown out? That's a question. What's the Reds record since 1950?
So we need the name and the number?
I don't think the number. I think we're just looking for the name. Is that correct? That's correct. See, I just turned to Joe Luck up, and he's the answer man.
Okay. He didn't give me the answer.
No, he's not giving me the answer. He just gave me the answer as to whether it was just the name we were looking for or the number.
So who are you throwing out there?
I would have no idea where to start.
Well, you can start with Eric Davis.
That'd be a good guess. What about Barry Larkin?
Be another good guess.
What about Leo Cardenas?
Maybe. You have to come up with the Reds? Okay. Yes, you do.
Oh, you have to come up with a Reds. So you couldn't have played for somebody else and then started your Reds. See, now we're really.
Now you eliminate Joe Morgan, for
instance. That's right. There's ball 4 to Shane Robinson, and Cingrani clearly frustrated with a couple of those pitches and with the home plate umpire Laz Diaz. It's only the second base runner of the night against Cingrani, and the other is coming to the plate right now. Holiday had a 2-out single in the first inning. It's only a 2-0 Reds lead. So the tying run steps into the plate. And that's Holiday, and he fouls it off out of play first base side. We had a good time before the game today, Chris. You, the birthday boy Jeff Brantley, and myself had a chance to sit down, little question and answer. Took some pictures and met a lot of really nice folks. That's one of the nuggets, if you will, if you want to call it that, of being a Reds season ticket holder. And Cingrani has Robinson in a rundown where Kozar will apply the tag.
Robinson was toying with him out there. Like, come on over, will you? And Cingrani lifted his leg, gave him a little hesitation, gave him the great move that he has, and he has picked off his 6th. I don't know whether this is going to be a pickoff or a caught stealing. In my book, they're the same thing, but that is 11 on the year. Either pitcher picked off or pitcher caught stealing. You see the little dance action over there by Shane Robinson. Very doubtful he's going to be two-stepping off the bag the next time he gets on there against Tony Cingrani.
And he might be two-stepping with a little bit of hearing loss.
I mean, Cingrani's allowed 4 stolen bases, and 16 have been thwarted. 5 by catchers throwing them out, 6 by picking them off, and I call that a pickoff, and 5 by pitcher caught stealing when a guy takes off and you throw over. I mean, that's a shutdown. Maybe it's something about that slot in the rotation, because you couldn't run on Johnny Cueto either.
3-1 to Holiday. Back-to-back walks in this inning by Cingrani.
Well, let's take a look at this walk. Pitch by pitch brought to you by Mazda. Comes right after him with an early fastball right here. And then begins to overthrow a little bit. And when Cingrani misses, he misses up. He misses away. You see Ryan Hannigan trying to zone him back in. He's got a 3-1 count. And he's way out of the strike zone right there. So he's not figured out a way to kind of either slow his body down or speed his arm up in order to get better extension towards home and get that ball down.
Strike one to Carlos Beltran. He bounced out, broke his back on a ground ball to Todd Frazier, his first time up. We are in the top of the fourth inning. The Reds have a 2-0 lead over the Cardinals in this, the fourth and final game of this week-long series. Reds winning the opener behind a complete game, spectacular pitching performance from Matt Latos. Homer Bailey equally as dominant in his 7 innings. In fact, did not allow a run. Reds won that one 1-0. And then the marathon here last night, 16 innings and a 1-run St. Louis win. Double play ball here, and that's all for the Cardinals. Morgan, the greatest second baseman in history. We have the post game where the great 8 will take the field together. That'll be the first time that's ever happened in this ballpark. We'll have the fireworks show after the game presented by Corson Fire and Security, and a night you'll never forget. 381 REDS. Visit select Kroger locations. You can log on to Reds.com/tickets. All those guys will be here tomorrow night.
How about this bunt by Cingrani in the second inning? All he's got to do is beat Lance Lynn in the bag. He does by a hair. Ends up stealing second base. First major league stolen base for Cingrani. Only one behind Billy Hamilton. And he ends up coming around to score on that misplay by the shortstop.
Did you just say only one behind Billy Hamilton?
I did.
Very perceptive. He's going to try it again, and he's going to get barely thrown out at first base. Wow.
What a
Tony
weapon.
Cingrani is already tied for second on the Reds team with 3 bunt hits. He has as many bunt hits as Chris Heisey. Hits. And he is tied for the major league lead in bunt hits by a pitcher with Andrew Kashner of San Diego.
You know, he kind of slips about halfway down the line right there. That may have cost him a base hit.
I think it's safe to say that there are a few of the Redlegs position players that might want to get in the cage with Tony Cingrani if they're looking to kill a little time. And that's not taking a shot at anybody. I mean, last night was an illustration of that, if there ever was. Big fella making it look easy up there, Chris. There's a drive. Straight away center field. That baby is gone by Shin-Soo Choo.
Now, it came on a fastball. Chu gets one that he just drives in. Lance Lynn supplies some of the power. Chu stays behind it. And we've seen a couple of home runs. That's an impressive one right there. The one that Todd Frazier hit was a long ball as well.
Home run number 20 for Shin-Soo Choo on the year. And now Brandon Phillips. Reds lead 3-0. Still 0-2 on Brandon Phillips. Brandon struck out in the first inning and an RBI infield single on a chopper deep in the hole at short with runners on the corners. That got the Reds on the board in the second inning, plating Tony Cingrani. Frazier the home run in the third, and now Chu plays long ball to deep left center here in the bottom of the fourth. Tapper down to third. That's a fair ball. Freeze with a throw on the tag made by Adams.
Now Freeze planted the line anyway, and he goes back to backhanded. And I'll tell you who has some pretty good actions around first base is Matt Adams. You can question whether he got the tag on Phillips though before he got the foot down.
You talk about it from time to time when you'll see a pitcher or a catcher make that throw up the line that sort of tails into foul ground as the first baseman's coming over. When you see a play like that where Freeze's throw forces a guy like Adams to make the tag, where Phillips is 200+ pounds racing as hard as he can up the line, that is an injury just waiting to happen. When that first baseman has to stick that left arm out in the air to put on a tag. Our buddy John Browdy reminds me that wasn't that Cliff Floyd who really had his career derailed on a similar type play.
Yeah, exactly right.
That guy was a dangerous hitter, man. when he first came to the big leagues.
Well, he ended up with a plate and about 8 screws in his wrist. Never was quite the player that he was prior to the injury. I also saw a compound fracture of a second baseman with the Padres named Juan Bonilla. Same thing happened to him. I mean, it was just a grotesque injury.
High fly ball in the short left center field, and Robinson and Holiday both kind of staring at it. And Robinson to get it. Shin-Soo Choo with a home run, extending the Reds' lead. Now 3-0.
Features, you hear from the players, and so much more. Reds Live pregame is presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Jim Day with you. Reds lead 3-0 over the Cardinals, and last night Matt Adams, the lefty, hit 2 home runs, obviously in extra innings. Reds didn't have a left-handed pitcher to face him because Manny Parra was not even at the park yesterday. He was at home with his wife, who gave birth to their first child, Alexander. It was a boy. And Parra's back tonight, and they said both are doing fine. So congratulations to the Parra family. And even better news, guys. Mark Berry, we've documented his struggle all season long, battling throat cancer. He's back at third base. He's been back there for some time. But anyone that's battled cancer or been around anyone that has battled cancer knows that once you go through treatment, you have to wait a few months, as there's a deep one, which is going to fly out of this ballpark. But guys, got to finish this story because of Mark Berry. He finally had his scan today after months after his treatment, and he is 100% cancer free.
That is great news indeed on both fronts. Not so good news on the home run by Freese, but great news on Mark Berry, and congratulations to the Parras. There is no greater blessing in the world than the happy, healthy birth of a child, and it's their first.
Nice couple, too.
Yeah.
Kelsey and Manny, just wonderful couple. They were so excited all summer long, and we're just as tickled as can be that everything is A-OK.
So tonight is the first game, but little Alexander is checking out from the hospital. So, I mean, if there's ever a game you got to go out and win, this would be the night. Reds with a 3-1 lead after the home run from Freese, just his 7th home run of the year. That ball hit a long way out by where Choo hit his home run. on swinging Adams, and that's 6 of those in the game for Cingrani.
Adams probably would not be in this ball game had it not been for the injury to Alan Craig last night. Craig sprained his ankle, rolled over on it, coming around first base. They flew him back to St. Louis to have that ankle checked out with an MRI. And in the meantime, they bring in the slugger that hit a couple of home runs in extra innings last night. Really single-handedly won that game offensively for the Cardinals.
That ball hit a ton, but you will have room in front of the wall off the bat of Cruz. 2 out. And this should end the inning on the pop-up off the bat of Ryan Jackson. The Cardinals get on the board. The home run by Freese. Reds lead, middle of the 5th, 3-1. Your '1 mobile app for live baseball. For more details, you can go to Reds.com or text @BAT to 31826. A big couple of birthdays. We talked about the Cowboy turning 50. That's nothing compared to this duo. Happy 90th birthday to Bob Brunswick up in Maria Stein, Ohio. Bob is a quote-unquote shirt tail cousin to former Red slugger Wally Post. And then there's the big one. Agnes Frilling, Fort Loramie, Ohio. 100 years young yesterday. So Bob number 90, Agnes 100. Happy birthday. God bless you. Hope you're having a good day, had a great day, all the above. Jay Bruce leads things off here in the Cincinnati 5th inning. Bruce has walked and struck out. He'll be followed by Ludwig, who has walked and struck out, and Frazier, who has struck out and homered. One and two on Jay Bruce. Do it again at 1-2. Pretty good battle going on here between Bruce and Lynn.
Yeah, mainly with the fastball, too. Bruce is trying to spoil that running fastball that Lance Lynn throws and really has a lot of side-to-side movement. Sometimes I think, though, Lynn drops his arm so much, especially on the breaking ball, he doesn't give himself a firm front side on which to pull off of, and the ball kind of just spins up there. But the fastball's got a lot of run.
Lynn is about to throw his 90th pitch of the game, and this is the leadoff batter in the 5th inning. Straight away center field, and Robinson will watch it fly. Reds back on top by 3, a 4-1 game.
You know, the amazing thing about 3 home runs off of the Cardinal pitcher Lance Lynn is that he had only given up 10 or 11 coming into this ball game. He was very stingy with the long ball. But Bruce got extension right there, and 3 solo shots. 2 of them to the big part of the ballpark in center field.
Jay Bruce home run number 27. His 89th run batted in.
Yeah, this is the extension we're talking about when you get that kind of arm action, meaning you get way out there with it. Good solid follow through.
It's only the 2nd time in Lance Lynn's career he has allowed 3 home runs in a game. The other time came on June the 24th last year against the Kansas City Royals. First time tonight the Cardinals get their bullpen busy. Of course, everybody got a chance to come out of that bullpen for both teams last night. Seth Maness, he was a game 2 loser in this series in a 1-0 game, and Ludwig out of there swinging. Six of those tonight for Lynn, who averages almost a strikeout per inning on the season.
Well, he came in with a lot of strikeouts per inning. He came in also with a lot of walks per 9 innings. And he's not disappointed. He's walked 4. He struck out 6. Of course, the Reds have sandwiched or crammed 3 home runs in there, too.
Frazier hammers a pitch, but this one will bend foul. Golly, Dave, was that ball kissed by Frazier?
And he was ready for it. I mean, the first home run that he hit came on the very first pitch he saw after he struck out with the bases loaded. And it was a breaking ball that he hung on the inner third of the plate. That time Lance Lynn says, I'm not going to hang a breaking ball. I'm coming after you with a fastball. And Frazier was ready.
Oh, and 2. Well, make no mistake about it. When the Reds have seen the Cardinals, you know, up until the last 5 games these 2 teams have played, I think everybody would agree the most hardcore Reds fan in the world is there's a base hit in the left field. I mean, it looked like the best team on the planet. They had just dominated the Reds in every way imaginable. They came in here and bludgeoned them in that series back in the middle of summertime. But right now, there's a little bit of panic that is starting to settle in for those that follow the Cardinals on a regular basis. And what I mean by that, back in St. Louis, all the talk is about this Cardinals starting rotation and about what they are not doing. Wainwright, the back-to-back games against the Reds, now certainly not a cause for panic. He is still among the elite pitchers in all of Major League Baseball, but some wonder, is he beginning to tire as this season is moving on? Only time will tell. What cannot be denied is Lance Lynn. Here he is tonight. He's only given up 4, so he's not been hammered all over the ballpark, but he comes in having lost 4 in a row. They take Tyler Lyons out of the rotation. They put Michael Wacha in the rotation. He looked very good here the other night, obviously. He was a starter in that 1-0 game. Jake Westbrook coming off the disabled list. They hope to maybe put him back in that starting rotation. And quite honestly, he wasn't pitching all that well. And Shelby Miller's had a rock-solid year, but not as crisp lately as he has been most of the season.
Really, their most dependable starter has been Joe Kelly.
Yes.
Another young guy. And that's the other thing about that starting rotation with the Cardinals. They're so young. You really don't know what to expect when it gets right down to the end of September. Really hairy, needing some games. The one thing the Cardinals do have going for them is that they play a lot of games at home towards the end of the year against teams that do not have very good records. And they've played well at home. And not only are the people in Cardinal Nation talking about their starting rotation, they're also talking about their lack of offense. This team has not hit very much at all. They hit in spurts, but as this series has proven, they've not had the ability to score a lot of runs, especially hit home runs.
Nice play by Adams down at first base, but the Reds get another home run, their 3rd straight inning with a long ball. Frazier, then Chu, and now Bruce. Reds had a 1-0 lead when they came to bat in the 3rd inning, and Todd Frazier launches one of the seats in left field. Shin-Soo Choo straightaway center in the 4th. Cardinals got on the board. David Freese in the same general vicinity leading off the 5th inning. That's the only Cardinal run of the game, and the Reds get that one right back when Jay Bruce, 3 of the 4 home runs, in this ball game have been hit to the deepest part of the ballpark. 4-1 Reds at the end of 5. Well, we're giving you a little while to think about our AT&T trivia question tonight. Since 1950, who holds the Reds record for most successful stolen base attempts to start a career?
Well, you named Barry Larkin as one of your guesses.
He was my first guess. And I give you the credit. I'm not going to take it because when you guessed Eric Davis, I had to pick somebody else. Okay. And because they played together, that was the first name that came to mind. Because without the qualifier, Joe Morgan should have been the guess, right?
Right. Well, you had the qualifier,
Yes.
of course, was you had to come up through the Reds organization.
Yes.
Be called up out of the minor leagues.
Should be noted that without the qualifier, you know who the answer would be? He's playing second base right now.
How about that? Brandon Phillips
came over from the.
How many did he do?
Originally the Montreal Expos, then the Cleveland Indians, and then the Reds. So to start his Reds career, he would be the record holder. Right? Right. Told you. Joe Luckaby's the answer man. He's a little bit tired, but he's the answer man.
Well, when you pose the questions, you should be able to know the answer. So he's a question man and the answer man, all wrapped up in one.
And he is tired. Check swing and a miss by Brock Peterson, the pinch hitter. He's out of there on strikes. 7th strikeout of the game for Tony Cingrani. Come on down to the Holy Grail of the Banks tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Test your Reds knowledge, win some great prizes, and who knows, you might end up on Reds Live. Be part of the fun on Friday at 6 at the Holy Grail on the Banks. So the night is over for Lance Lynn. Came in having lost 4 in a row with an ERA of nearly 5. He gives up 4 earned runs in his 5 innings of work tonight. 7 hits, and very fortunate he wasn't completely blown out of the gym when the Reds had a couple of chances to do that early in the game. They had the bases loaded in the first inning, didn't score. They had a run in, a couple more on in the second. That went into right center field. It'll go to the wall, and this will be a 3-base attempt for Carpenter, and successfully sliding in with a triple, his 6th of the season.
Well, he has 46 doubles. And you get more triples, I would imagine, at Busch Ballpark or Busch Stadium because it's got bigger alleys, but he just can swing the bat. First hit of the night. And he puts himself 90 feet away with now just 1 out.
Well, Cingrani has been a strikeout pitcher since coming into the big leagues. Very upset about allowing that base hit to Carpenter. He could use a strikeout right here and right now. He has a 3-run lead. We're in the 6th inning, and Robinson the batter. Strike 1.
Robinson, one of the few batters in this lineup that have not struck out. And the Reds are giving him a run. If he can just get the ball on the ground somewhere other than to maybe the third baseman, first baseman, and pitcher.
Well, he didn't have to worry about it. That'll be a wild pitch. It brings Carpenter in to make it a 4-2 game.
That's the difference between staying at second base and stretching it into a triple. And the play was happening right in front of Carpenter as he went into second base, so he realized as he was heading in there whether he was going to stretch that baby into 3 or not.
That one dropped down the right field line. That's a good play by Jay Bruce, keeping Robinson at first base. Well, now all of a sudden the Cardinals, they get a triple, they get a wild pitch, they get a base hit, and they bring the tying run to the plate in a game that has seemingly felt like the Reds have been in total control and total command.
You know, and sometimes that can be very misleading because every pitch it seemed like Lance Lynn was laboring. Every inning he's got runners on. He's getting behind in the count. You know, the Reds are hitting home runs, although they're solo home runs. You hit 3 home runs, you think you're up by 7. So Brian Price realizes it is not as comfortable as it appears. He's going to go out and put a little momentum stopper out here just to kind of give Tony Cingrani a breather.
While we have a minute with Brian going back to the dugout, I would like to correct myself, and I thank Jim Day for pointing that out. We were talking about that World Series and the Great 8 coming into town and the World Series against Boston. I had said that, you know, Boston fans always say, well, Fred Lynn didn't play. It wasn't Fred Lynn. It was Jim Rice that didn't play in that series. Okay. Freddie Lynn did play in that series.
You were probably caught by Twitter.
Probably.
Won't be the last time.
Anything that ties my name to that, I hope it is the last time.
Don't count on it.
No. One and 0 to count on Matt Holliday. Zach Duke, the left-hander. Then Cristiani, the right-hander. Of course, you have to wonder how long they're going to go with Cingrani. We bring that up because, of course, they didn't send him on some minor league rehab.
Right.
He went on the disabled list. He has not pitched a game at all, anywhere, since August the 20th. So you're talking about 2 full weeks plus since he last took the mound.
And what can you do when you're on the sidelines with a sore back? Really to build up your pitch count or your strength.
And there is a 4-pitch walk. So after striking out the pinch hitter to lead off the inning, the Cardinals have put 3 in a row on base against Cingrani.
Well, Dusty Baker just instructed Ryan Hannigan to take his time, but go out to the mound, talk to Cingrani. And in the meantime, I think he and Brian Price, Dusty that is, are going to decide what they want to do. Remember, in the batter's box right now, you've got a switch hitter in Carlos Beltran. So Price will check who's ready. And Beltran will figure out whether he's going to hit right-handed or left-handed. I guess they're going to leave Cingrani in, yes or no. Nope, Dusty's making his way up the dugout steps right now.
So that's all for Tony Cingrani, his first outing back after injuring his back on August the 20th. He was cruising right along in this game. The only mistake, a solo home run to David Freese in the 5th inning. Struck out the first batter here in the 6th, but then a Carpenter triple. A wild pitch brought in a run. Robinson singled. Holliday walks. And Tony will lead.
He's not happy about it, but he did a whale of a job first time coming off the disabled list.
On Fox Sports Ohio, called Reds Live, brought to you by Kings Honda in the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. Second straight night where Zach Duke walks into a sticky situation. You may remember in the game in the 8th inning last night in a tie game with 2 on, he came in to face Matt Adams and struck him out. And now the veteran left-hander walks into the game to face another dangerous hitter in Carlos Beltran. Third appearance for Duke since being brought up from the minor leagues. Was having a very good year down at AAA Louisville. Duke has seen Beltran plenty. Beltran 5 hits and 23 at bats against him. Included in the 5 hits, a double, a triple, and a home run. And this might be a double play if they can turn it. There's one. And that's a double play. How about Zach Duke? Hard collision out at second base, and Brandon Phillips is still not up. Going in hard was Holiday. .576 Cincinnati Reds World Championship teams will reunite the next 2 days right here at Great American Ballpark as part of Joe Morgan weekend. I mean, think about that. Just look at that a second, that picture. Johnny Bench will be here. Ken Griffey Jr. Peter Edward Rose. Ken Griffey Sr. Peter Edward Rose. Tony Perez. George Foster. Cesar Geronimo. Davey Concepcion. They'll all be here tomorrow night. A post-game ceremony after the game. They'll be here again on Saturday when they unveil the statue of Joe Morgan. Tickets are available for every game this weekend with the Dodgers in town. A Joe Morgan celebration here at Great American Ballpark. We'd love to have you come down. Neftali Soto comes on to pitch hit. And he is facing a new Cardinal pitcher taking over for Lance Lynn. We saw the hard throwing Sam Freeman.
Well, that's no way to differentiate him from that Cardinal bullpen. I mean, everybody was throwing hard. Sam Freeman, one of them, had a 1-2-3 10th inning. All fly balls off this left-hander. He went right through the middle of the order, too. Phillips, Votto, and Bruce last night in the 10th.
Yeah, he's just not as big as those other guys. But he's
not
another native Texan.
He's got a big arm.
Seems like they've
yeah, they have pretty much monopolized pitching out of Texas somehow. I don't know how they've done it, but they've done a pretty good job. Well, here's today's whiff, brought to you by Head & Shoulders, now with a hint of Old Spice. It was Tony Cingrani back in the second inning. And he just blew right through the bottom half of the order. David Freese, Matt Adams looking. Tony Cruz comes up empty on a fastball, and 1, 2, 3, just like that. He punches out the side. And that is our whiff, brought to you by Head & Shoulders with a hint of Old Spice.
You know, obviously the inning ended so quickly, just so everybody knows at home, because we did not show it to you immediately. There are the numbers on Cingrani, but Brandon Phillips was able to get up. Took him a while to get up. I mean, you're talking about a big, strong man that came in hard. It was clean, but he came in hard, and that's Holiday. And just completely blasting into Brandon Phillips, turning the double play. And how about the job by Zach Duke? Man, oh man. We won't know for sure how it is he wound up getting turned loose earlier this season. But the last 2 nights, that guy has been money out of the Reds bullpen. Here's that slide. And Holiday upending Brandon Phillips.
Now, Beltran now has grounded into 3 double plays in this 4-game series. And he's only played 3 games.
Reds holding a 4-2 lead. Back up the middle and into center field. A base hit by Chu. 3rd time he's been on base tonight. Retired his first time up. He has since walked, homered, and now singled. And here comes Phillips.
Hanging right in there against the left-hander. That's good to see, because there was a time there during the middle of the year that you could throw a left-hander on the mound and have a pretty good chance of getting Chu out. He just was not doing much against southpaws at all, but he's come a long, long way. Keeping that front shoulder, and there is a good start.
Phillips in the game 1 of 3 had an infield hit to knock in a run, his 101st RBI. That came in the 2nd inning. Hard to believe it was 6 years ago today. 6 years ago. My, oh my, how time flies. Where Brandon Phillips hit his 28th home run of the season that year. That was a new club record by a second baseman. On that same night, Joey Votto hit his first major league home run. I don't know where time goes. I know a lot of people at home feel the same way. Of course, we all go through stretches where it seems like it's almost standing still. But 6 years ago. Second baseman backpedaling, Carpenter, and that's the 2nd out of the inning. So Votto will bat with 2 away and Chu at first base. Reds with a 2-run lead. Breaking ball misses down and in. Ball 1 to Joey Votto.
Now, Joey Votto was one of 3 players who took an 0 for 7 in last night's ball game. The other 2 are not in the lineup tonight, so Votto's back in there again. That 0 for 7 around Major League Baseball was the worst 0 for of the year, and 3 of them had it in one ball game.
Chris, some have wondered, should Votto get a day off? He has started every single game the Reds have played this season. We know no one wants to play more than Joey Votto.
And nobody works as hard as Joey Votto, and you're just wondering if, you know, he's in a slump. There's no doubt about it. I think he's 4 for his last 36, but you know, he's the kind of guy that say, I'm going to work my way out of it. But sometimes that may not be the best recipe, because he's late on fastballs. Now, given the fact that the Cardinal bullpen is coming out here just throwing gas, so if you're late on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, that's nothing to be embarrassed about. But it's not the Joey Votto that we're used to seeing. And just a day off now and again. But the problem is, when you're playing the Cardinals, do you give Joey Votto a day off against the Cardinals?
Well, I think it's safe to say, do you give him a day off? You know, I mean, obviously, you give him a day off when you're in the middle of a pennant race and you're down to the final 20 games of the year. There are some that would, at least in my opinion, would rightfully ask the question, as there's ball 4 to Votto. You know, if you were going to give a guy, you know, a little bit of rest, if you ultimately came to that decision, you know, couldn't that have happened long before now? But having said that, if it's something that could possibly aid him, which would ultimately aid the Reds, do you just go ahead and do it tomorrow night?
Well, on the other side of it, you're thinking,
out tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, on the other side of it, you're thinking, all right, well, we need him. You
Sure.
need him in St. Louis. You need him in Denver. You know, you need him in this 4-game series back here against the Cardinals.
Sure.
Now, if Clayton Kershaw was starting tomorrow night, that might be an ideal time. But he doesn't pitch until Sunday night. Or the Reds will face a left-handed pitcher, Chris Capuano. But he's not the classic tough-on-tough, you know, lefty pitcher, more of a changeup pitcher.
0-1 to Jay Bruce.
It's not the first time that a ball club has been presented with a dilemma of when to give a guy a day off who's essentially the guy in the middle of your lineup that makes the thing go. And for Votto, it'll probably be a forced day off, because he certainly is not going to go to Dusty Baker and ask for one.
No way.
This is the time of year when bats get a little bit slow anyway. When balls that are hit die at the warning track a little bit more than they do early in the year, when you're a little bit crisper, you haven't played as many games in a row, you get worn down. Although the summer heat hasn't been all that bad, it's still warm when you get out here and you have batting practice at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a grind.
Back up the middle, and Jay Bruce for the base hit will drive in a run. Going first to third is Votto, and Bruce a 2-hit, 2-run batted in ninth.
Yeah, you had to figure that Sam Freeman is in the ball game because you're in the left-handed part of the Reds lineup. He faced the pinch hitter in the number 9 spot. Got him out, but the Chu goes up the middle with a base hit the same way that Bruce goes up the middle right there with a base hit. He just stays right on it. Hit his home run to center field. Hits a RBI single right up the box, too.
These are big add-on runs these last 2 innings, especially when it looked like the Cardinals might get right back in this thing with a run scored and 2 on and 1 out in the 6th before Duke got the double play ball. Now you come right back, start a rally with 1 out. Votto keeps the inning alive, drawing the walk, and Chu scores on the base hit by Bruce, and that's all for Freeman. So a pitching change as Manus will come on from the bullpen. Reds in front 5-2. Back in a moment.
A 5-2 ball game. They hope to add on right here. Seth Manus comes in out of the Cardinal bullpen in relief of Sam Freeman, the left-hander. Runners on the corners and 2 down. Ryan Ludwig 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. And a first pitch strike. Manus is not an overpowering pitcher. He really is a guy that gets a tremendous number of ground balls. Sinks it. Has a sinking action changeup that gets a lot of ground balls as well.
0-1 on Ludwig, and he takes a strike, and Manus has come in to get ahead quickly. Boy, and he came in quickly now. I mean, when he walked out from the bullpen and got to the mound, he was ready to pitch right now. Reds are already going through their batting order for the 4th time in the game. They have 5 runs and 9 hits. Ludwig has walked, struck out twice. Votto at third, Bruce at first. And a bouncer to the second baseman. That will end the inning. The Reds get another run. They strand 2. They've left 9 and lead 5-2 as we go to the 7th. Welcome back to Great American Ballpark in downtown Cincinnati. We played 6 innings and the Reds have a 5-2 lead over the St. Louis Cardinals. And a father for the first time after last night's delivery of young Alexander is Manny Parra. Congratulations, young man. You have no idea of the difference in your life, and all for the better. Man, oh man, oh man. So now he's zeroed in on facing David Freese to open up the Cardinals' 7th inning.
I'd say he's a little pumped up.
One and oh the count on David Freese. 2-0. Cardinals have scored in each of the last 2 innings. They got the solo home run by Freese to deep center field leading off the 5th inning. That was against Cingrani. Then they got a triple with 1 out by Carpenter, and a wild pitch by Tony allowed him to score. And of course, depending on how the rest of this one plays out, you can't say enough about the job that Zach Duke has turned in from the Reds bullpen in each of the last 2 nights. Came in with 2 on and 2 out, struck out Matt Adams in the 8th inning last night. Comes in 2 on 1 out tonight and induces Beltran into an inning-ending double play ground ball.
You know, looking forward down to the end of this month, it'll be very interesting how the configuration of this bullpen may turn out as far as left-handers in the pen. Parra's obviously is given down there, and you have, of course, Aroldis Chapman. But, you know, Zach Duke making a bid to be called on in pressure situations. Sean Marshall threw a bullpen today and threw at 100% effort his last 15 or 20 pitches and deemed himself ready to go. Johnny Cueto did the same thing, and he got tremendous remarks after that bullpen session. Throwing the ball hard, throwing the ball where he wanted to. Of course, there's no opportunity to send a pitcher, major league pitcher, down to the minor leagues anymore unless you send him all the way to Arizona. And you have to ask yourself, is it worth the trip down there and back just to pitch to a few batters or a couple of innings? Or can you do that in a simulated game type thing here, get those 2 guys ready to join the squad?
You know, I want to ask you about that after this 3-2 pitch. And Parra walks the first batter he faces, Freese.
He just looks amped up. I mean, every pitch he's missed has been up and away.
Chris, what does at the end of the day, is there any significant difference when you are a pitcher of going down and pitching in a minor league game? And I'm talking about now, maybe there's a differentiation between a starter and a reliever. Is there any difference between pitching a simulated game against major league hitters, which you would do, say, in Cueto or Marshall's case here with a big league club, as opposed to being sent down? I don't care what level it is, AAA, AA, rookie ball. Is there any significant difference between those 2?
No, I'm not so sure that sending a guy all the way to Arizona right now, different time zone, the travel, you're going to have to pitch him and then give him a day off anyway. Here you can do all the stuff you need to do and keep him around the trainers that you have. And I think Sean Marshall's kind of making an argument to stay around here. I think you can get actually some at bats for your extra players on your bench against big league game style pitching, which would help them in a pinch hitting situation. So I think you really add, benefit to both sides when you do the simulated game thing here, especially when you've got 2 pitchers doing a simulated game. You have Marshall throw to a couple batters, then you bring in Cueto. You bring back Marshall, and then you bring in Cueto. And they build up their pitch counts. I think the biggest thing is that you you throw a bullpen or you pitch with a batter in the batter's box and you see how that batter reacts to your stuff. That's the test before you get activated.
All right, now I got one more question for you.
I might be out of answers.
No. You know all this stuff. 1-2 to count. And a bouncing ball. This could be another double play. Phillips, Cozart, and it is a double play. They've done a number, the lefty Cingrani and now Parra on the left-handed batting Adams tonight. 2 strikeouts and a double play.
Back-to-back innings where the Cardinals looked like they were trying to get something going here with a leadoff walk. Adams follows up against another left-handed pitcher with a ground ball that gets a double play.
All right, quickly, my other question is this. For a starting pitcher, Johnny Cueto, and there's been talk about where you are on the calendar, looking ahead possibly to the playoffs. Knowing that you're only going to be pitching in simulated games, what would be realistic to think of a pitch count number you could reasonably expect to get Johnny Cueto to between now and the end of the regular year?
Oh, I think you could get him up into the high double digits. I don't see any reason why he couldn't pitch 70 pitches, maybe even 80. And maybe more than that. I mean, you know, if Cueto's grooving right along, he's not a guy that throws a lot of pitches anyway. I don't think the pitch count's an issue. I think the way the Reds are leaning is, and Brian Price has said this, that they are more likely to use him out of the bullpen. Much in the way that they needed somebody out of the bullpen in the first game against San Francisco when he went down with an injury. He brought in Sam LeCure to get out of the inning. Then he brought in Matt Latos. I think he pitched about 4 innings or so in that ball game. It kind of held him right there for a very important first game victory. If you have a secret weapon like Cueto down there that you could go to early if your starter just began to buckle a little bit, be easy to pull the trigger on bringing him in, especially if he's throwing the ball like Johnny Cueto.
But continuing that same vein, if you could get him to a point where you could get him to 70, let's just use that number for the sake of argument. And based on the experience factor of a postseason pitcher, and you could talk about that, what it really means at the end of the day from now till the end of the time. I mean, the 1990 Reds didn't have any postseason experience, and they blew the doors off everybody. They're examples both ways. But if you decided that you wanted Cueto to start a game, could you not conceivably then just piggyback one of the other guys, for lack of a better term, behind his start?
You could.
Would you be more prone to do it that way or the other way?
Well, it depends on what you think fits the best against a team that you're playing against. And so you ask yourself, who are those guys that you would piggyback? Would it be Mike Leake? Would it be Bronson Arroyo? Tony Cingrani? If it was Cingrani, now you're looking at possibility of having 4 lefties in the bullpen, if you're including Zach Duke and Marshall.
On swinging is
a lot of variables out there.
It is. It's interesting conversation. They stand and stretch here at the ballpark. Welcome back, Manny Parra, pitching for his little boy, born last night, and a scoreless inning. Series presented by Dinsmore and Scholl will continue through this month and kicks off this weekend with Joe Morgan. Sculptures of the Reds Hall of Famer are free with a full price paid admission to the museum on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday in September while supplies last. Bottom of the 7th inning here at Great American Ballpark. Reds 5, Cardinals 2. Todd Frazier has had a very good night. Didn't start so well when he ended the first inning by striking out with the bases loaded. But his next time up, he homered, had a single in the 5th inning. And he may have homered again. He has homered again. Frazier now with 15 home runs, and the Reds lead 6-2.
Now these add-on runs, you said it last inning, just so important. He goes down to get a breaking ball. Looked like kind of an off-balance swing, but we've seen that before. It just goes to show you how tremendously strong his hands and wrists are. 3rd career multi-home run game for Todd Frazier.
One of those came earlier this season against the Washington Nationals. So first weekend, 2nd weekend of the year. Cozart has extended his hitting streak to 10 games tonight. Reds have now scored in 6 consecutive innings in this game tonight. The only inning they didn't score, the first, they had the bases loaded. And they have hit 4 solo home runs. 2 by Frazier, 1 by Chu, 1 by Jay Bruce. And again, a roller in the second baseman Carpenter, and that's the 2nd out of the inning. Well, baseball is one of those games that just when you think that maybe, not that you've seen it all, because there's always that one guy in the room that's like seen it all, and you kind of roll your eyes. It is one of those games where you just never get a handle on it. I mean, could the Cardinals have looked like a more dominant team than they looked before the 10-0 win by the Reds, the final game of that series in St. Louis last week? I mean, this was a team that I think all Reds fans, and we started to talk about it earlier, they looked at the Cardinals, and I think most Reds fans would have said, Reds can't beat that team. Now tell me you do not feel a complete 180. And believe me, this is no disrespect towards this Cardinal team in any way imaginable. You'd kill for the success that they have had over the last decade and a half. Almost 2 decades. But now all of a sudden, you're able to tie a ribbon around this one, and with a 4-run lead in the 7th, you better. Now all of a sudden you're saying to yourself, you play this Cardinal team in a 1-game playoff, or you play this Cardinal team in a postseason series, game on.
Well, I think it's done a world of good for the attitude of the ball club itself. And not only Reds country, but I think this ball club feels the same way. And it started with the turnaround of that last game pitched by Homer Bailey in St. Louis. The 10-0 whitewashing of the Cardinals before the Reds got out of town and went on out west to Denver. And even though they lost 2 out of 3 in Denver, it still gave them, I think, a little bit of help and momentum going into this Cardinal series, knowing, you know what, we get a well-pitched ball game, we can score runs against those guys. And the Cardinals obviously aren't hitting the way they did earlier in the year when they whitewashed the Reds. They came in here and they really embarrassed the Reds with a couple of big-time lopsided losses. That's the way the game of baseball goes. You ebb and flow. I mean, and you're still 3 weeks away from the end of the season. So you don't know who will be hot that last week or that last 4 days. But right now, certainly the Reds are having the upper hand, and putting this ball game away will go a long way towards that.
That one getting away from Cruz, and on the second base goes Henry Rodriguez.
We haven't talked a whole lot about Henry Rodriguez. That's just not real good form by Cruz right there. Didn't get his body in the way at all. But we've seen Henry Rodriguez now down in the minor leagues in spring training. This guy can flat out rake a little bit.
It's all about the one team deciding they're going to give you a chance. You might be a little short on the defensive side, but you just have to get the chance. And when you get the chance, obviously you got to make the most of it, and you got to make them understand you might have to live with a little bit less than the best on defense, but I'll hit my way in a lineup and stay in a lineup.
And there's some clubs that'll take you for that. You know, what a lot of these guys may or may not know. We know, Tom, because we see them all up in the media dining room before the ball game. But this series with the Cardinals is just jam-packed with scouts. 33 Major League scouts are here to watch this series. And we've got scouts from the Yankees, from the Orioles. Of course, they're all scouting for postseason. Some are just doing their normal scouting because they have the Reds, and here the Reds are on a long homestand.
You and I were talking last night. I can never remember being in a major league game where there have been as many scouts as there have been in this series.
I mean, you'd think that Steven Strasburg was pitching as an amateur tonight. That's how many scouts there are here. And these are top-level guys.
Well, Scott Reed sitting down there in the very first row of the scout seats, sitting 3 seats in, right there with the headphones on. I mean, he is the right-hand man to Dave Dombrowski, who runs the Detroit Tigers. I mean, he is Dombrowski's guy, kind of like Jerry Walker would be Walt Jocketty's guy. Cesar Torres going to bat for Brandon Phillips.
Oh,
and
look
Freed
what I
sticks
found.
a fork in it and gets a force out at third base. Before we go to break, Brandon Phillips left the game with a left quad bruise, undoubtedly on that slide by Matt Holliday. Frazier homers. Reds lead by 4. We're off to the 8th. brought to you by Cincinnati Children's Hospital, now the #1 ranked pediatric cancer center in the country, according to U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals. And by Chevy. Stop into your Tri-State Chevy dealer. Check out their full line of fuel-efficient vehicles.
Well, David Freese had that ground ball get away from him, go off his glove, and go right towards third base. But he was able to grab it barehanded and tag third base and also avoid the rubber cleats of the sliding runner. Well, they don't seem as dangerous as the old ones. Metal ones used to sharpen up a little bit. Sam McCure, 55 games now for this right-hander.
Breaking ball in there, a strike. Off the end of the bat, foul. John Jay coming up there to bat. Hitting for the shortstop, Ryan Jackson.
John Jay was one of those 0 for 7s last night.
Jay to bat now, and they have Daniel Descalzo, another pinch hitter, standing in the on-deck circle. A lot of regular players getting the night off, started by the Reds lefty Tony Cingrani. Well, tonight's a perfect night. Tying into something we brought up earlier relating to Joey Votto. If you are a Cardinal fan and you saw Mike Matheny's lineup tonight, now they had to start Adams as their strike 3 when Alan Craig got hurt. And even though the opposition has a left-hander on the mound, Chris, you know, would it be fair to ask the question, why aren't some of our more regular guys playing in there tonight? I mean, they have most of their regular guys in there. You almost have to give Molina a night off, right?
Yeah.
But maybe he's an example of what we're talking about with Votto. I mean, he is clearly one of their 2 or 3 most valuable players, Yadier Molina.
Yeah, I think, though, it's documented that Molina's dealing with some issues.
Sure.
He's got a wrist issue. He's got a knee issue that's been bothering him all year long. I think they look for ways to giving him some rest. I don't think there's anything bothering, at least not that we know about, Joey Votto from a physical standpoint, as far as it would keep him from playing every day. Then let's face it, guys go through funks and slumps, and it's the way baseball is. The really great players minimize them, and they come back strong.
These Cardinals beginning the night tonight. Only 1 game behind the Pirates, the idle Pirates. If you missed it earlier, they are already in St. Louis. They're probably settling in their hotel rooms right about now, checking the game out. Inside corner to Descalzo. Fly ball down the right field line towards the corner. Bruce at the wall will have room. That's just about as close as you can hit it without hitting it out of the park. Now Carpenter 1 of 3, had a triple and scored in the 6th inning. One ball and 1 strike on Matt Carpenter. Jay Bruce waits, inning over. LaCura 1-2-3 inning. Reds back, bottom of the 8th with a 4-run lead. League and the NL West leading Dodgers right here in Cincinnati to take on the Reds. Fox Saturday Baseball begins Saturday at 12:30 Eastern Time. It's going to be a great weekend series, and of course everything going on honoring Joe Morgan. The Great Eight will be here tomorrow night. They'll be here Saturday afternoon. Well, we talked about Grace Welsh celebrating a birthday. We talked about Jeff Bradley celebrating a birthday. It's also a birthday, 38 of them, for Randy Choate, who comes on from the St. Louis bullpen. So happy birthday to him, too.
Absolutely. We are an equal birthday wishing broadcast.
Yes. Scalzo staying in the game to play shortstop. And Choate to face Votto, Bruce, and Ludwig. And it's an air strike. Votto's walked twice, 0 for 2. 2-2 to Votto. And a 2-hopper to the shortstop. 1 out. Our Nissan drive of the game came off the bat of Jay Bruce. My oh my, was hit a drive. That ball hammered. 27th of the season for Jay Bruce. Tell you what, man, you talk about a young fella is starting to put up some numbers in his career. Jay Bruce now has 161 career home runs. He's a little more than a dozen away from breaking into the Reds' top 10 all time. And of course, he is the only player in the history of baseball this side of Frank Robinson to hit 20 or more home runs as a rookie and then increase that total every year in subsequent seasons. For him, that's meant the next 4 years after his rookie season. Now, he's got to go a little bit as that one is fouled. He's got some work to do now to increase his home run total from last year. 34 of them. But his rookie year, he went 21, then 22, 25, 32, 34. He's 3 home runs away from coming only the 6th player in Reds history to hit 30 or more home runs in 3 consecutive seasons. 2 are out here in the inning. And he's also increased his RBI total every single year. He's still trying to get to that elusive 100 number. Got to 99 last year. With Mike Matheny still managing. His team down by 4, 2 outs and nobody on in the 8th inning. And with a right-handed batter coming up, he'll make a pitching change, and we'll be back in a moment. Two down, nobody on. Reds leading here in the bottom of the 8th inning by a count of 6-2. Fernando Salas will come on to face a right-handed batting Ryan Ludwig.
You know, you might be sitting at home thinking, what's the use right here? Why would Mike Matheny go out in a game that seemingly is in the control of the Reds and make a change right here. After Choate, the left-hander, works through Votto and Bruce, he's got one guy left over. And that leftover, I think, comes a lot from Tony La Russa. We saw this time a lot with La Russa, who never, ever gave up the hope of winning a ball game. I don't care if it was 12-1, he'd make a move like this. And I was always one of these people that would poo-poo it also until I saw one game where they came back and won the ball game against what seemingly was insurmountable odds. So if it's one game a year, or maybe one game every 3 years, why not give it a shot? So that's why he's done it.
Popped up, and the inning is over. So the Cardinals will come to bat in the top of the ninth inning. The Reds lead 6-2. The John Morrell hot dog play of the game. Cardinals had 2 on, down 2 in the 6th inning. Zach Duke come on to face Carlos Beltran and gets him on a 5-4-3 double play to end the inning. Brandon Phillips suffering a quad bruise, left quad bruise on the play. Had to leave the game, just precautionary measure. I'm sure he'll be right back in that lineup when the Dodgers come to town starting tomorrow night. Derek Robinson taking over in left field, and although not a save situation, Aroldis Chapman comes on from the bullpen.
He was in last night's ball game, and electric Chapman was. He struck out 2 of the 3 batters that he faced, and he faced Molina, John Jay, and Daniel Descalso. Well, the difference we've seen in Chapman since getting essentially 8 or 9 days off between appearances was really about 4 miles an hour right out of the chute. Normally what we have seen just about all year long from Aroldis Chapman is a guy that comes into a ball game, throws in the high 90s the first 5, 6, 7 pitches, and then when he gets to about pitch 10, he's up around 99 to 100. He came in last couple of nights throwing 101 right out of the chute, and then upped it to 103, something we haven't seen in a long time.
Shane Robinson, a swing and a miss. 98 on the first pitch from Chapman tonight. Follow that up with a slider, and now he's ahead. 0-2 on Robinson. The Reds are 3 outs away from taking 3 of 4 over the Cardinals. The final game between these two teams during this 2013 regular season.
Ouch.
Oh dear. 1 out.
Well, extension is what we talk about with Aroldis Chapman a lot, and you can get a really good look with that particular video of how close he gets to home plate, way out over his right knee. And the closer you get, of course, the less time the hitter has. And when you're throwing 100 miles an hour, that effectively gives you a fastball in excess of 100. You know, normally guys who get really good extension towards home, Greg Maddux was a great example. You'd call sneaky fast, but there's really nothing sneaky about Chapman. No.
Broken bat again, knocked down by Chapman. He'll throw out Holiday, and the Cardinals are down to their final out. Brian Price just wants to make sure, along with the assistant to Paul Lassard, assistant trainer Steve Bauman, that everything's okay with Chapman on that liner back to the mound, and Chapman already smiling at him. They have to say no problem. Cesar's Turris just in case to step in there.
And Laz Diaz is doing the he's doing the interpretation right there. Or the interpreting, I guess. Diaz, even though you had Cesar Turris.
Boy, he is deep in some kitchens here tonight. Man, oh man.
I think maybe at this point, Carlos Beltran just like to get out of here without breaking his knuckles.
That's right on your knuckles at 101. Well, well, well. This series, it has to be certainly a confidence-building series for the Redlegs. It'll be the first time they've beaten the Cardinals in a series this year, where they were just thoroughly dominated. I mean, overwhelmingly dominated through the first 14 times they played. They will end this year having won 4 of the final 5 games they've gotten together. 1-2 on Carlos Beltran. Well, it's just fun to think about. Where will they meet again? If they meet again. Would it be in a 1-game playoff? That's the way it would be right now. Could it possibly be in a division series? What about a National League Championship series? Two and two to count. The only significance of winning the season series, which the Cardinals have already accomplished, is that if you finish with identical records, the tiebreaker is head-to-head meetings. There's ball 4 to Beltran. So in other words, If both of these teams were to finish with identical records, say behind the Pirates, just theoretically speaking here, winning the season series would give the Cardinals the home game. Now David Freese. And all of a sudden, Chapman can't find the strike zone. He got ahead of Beltran at 0-2 through 4 balls in a row. And now starts off Freese, ball 1. 1-1 to Freese. That ball fouled off Ryan Hannigan, and he's trying to walk off some hurt. Boy. Man, that's got to hurt. Right off the side. Tough men. And a little pop-up that is going to fall in a base hit. So this one not quite over yet. Chapman was ahead of Carlos Beltran at 0-2 before walking him, and now a little dinker into right off the bat. A Freeze will bring Yadier Molina off the Cardinal bench. This crowd standing, anticipating the game's final out. And twice Chapman has been on 2 strikes to the hitter. And these last 2 been unable to put him away. Now Molina. First night off as a starter in this series for the Cardinal All-Star catcher. Third straight batter Chapman has gone to 2 strikes with. See you later. A hit, a walk, 2 left in the Cardinal 9th inning. The Reds take 3 of 4 against the Cardinals. They pick up a half game in the standings on idle Pittsburgh, which means the Reds are 3 games out, and they're a game and a half behind the Cardinals for second place. A real good series for the Reds, even with last night's 16-inning loss. Cingrani, Duke, Hara, LeCure, and Chapman combined on a 5-hitter. 6-2 our final score.